Welcome into Boxing Scene Today here at the Pro Box TV studios. Well, when is a boxer ever really retired? The answer to that question is when they go on the ground. That is it. As we know, Tyson Fury retiring after his second loss to Alexander Usyk. Is that going to hold on? Well, Eddie Hearn had some strong words about a possible comeback and the fact that we're always being teased about it. To help me break it down, Jimmy Smith in studio alongside the champs, Chris Algieri, Paulie Malignaggi, and coach Robert Garcia. This is a quote from Eddie Hearn. I feel like Tyson Fury is a bit of a tease, really, isn't he? I mean, all we see on Instagram is him. Even today, I come out of the press conference, went on Instagram, and he's there with wraps on doing 12 rounds of boxing. Why are you doing this to us? What are you doing? Are you deliberately playing with our minds or are you coming back? Just let us know either way. Put us out of our misery. Chris, it sounds to me like Eddie Hearn is in misery and trying to spread that to everyone else. Of course, he wants to make the Anthony Joshua fight one of the biggest no-brainer heavyweight fights of I want to say the last decade. He's holding out hope that he can make this happen. What's your thought on it?
Listen, the fight's going to happen. Tyson's going to do it. He's going to come back. He's literally licking his chops about this. He's got Eddie uncomfortable. I'm sure Tyson loves that. So
yes.
Come on, man. You put us out of our misery. Tyson's like, good. I'm going to kick this down the road even longer now because you're showing me that you're bothered by it. That's just the way Tyson is. He likes to play mental chess, and that's just him playing that again. Listen, when it comes down to getting to the contractual table to sit down and go over the numbers, he's going to kill it because he's pushing this off for a reason. But this fight's definitely going to happen.
Yeah, but this idea that, Paulie, that I can walk away. I am away. Technically, I'm retired. I don't have to be here. Is that the message he is sending for more money?
Well, for one, yeah. I mean, for two, again, Eddie's saying he's a tease. He's kind of a tease. Eddie's getting excited, because in some ways Eddie sees him working out. He got wrapped up doing 12 rounds. So he's like, man, he is going to fight. I'm getting excited. It's like, for lack of a better term, Eddie's got the tip. He wants the whole thing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I was going to say blue balls, but whatever you want to say is fine. Right?
No, the blue balls didn't start yet.
Not yet.
If he kicks this down the road more, yeah.
So Eddie wants the whole thing, So I guess I don't know.
You don't know where to go from there. You're like, I cornered myself.
I don't know. I don't want to get myself in more trouble. So let's pass it on to Coach Garcia.
All right, so Coach, when you look at this fight, it's one of those, as we said, a no-brainer kind of fight. But the problem with it is it's kind of evergreen. It packs Wembley no matter when they do it. But is there a sense of urgency to at least get these guys to where they're still competent enough to give us a good fight? What's your thought on the timing of it, Robert?
I think it's a fight that should happen no matter what time. It's a huge fight. Both need to fight each other. Maybe we're getting it a little bit later than we expected, but it's still going to be huge. This fight produces so much money for the boxing world, for the fighters, obviously in the UK. It's a huge fight. There's nothing bigger than that. So no matter what, Tyson Fury announces his retirement and goes on saying that he'll never fight again. That fight has to happen, and now he's pretty much giving hints that he's going to come back. Eddie Hearn is mentioning, so Eddie Hearn is happy. He's happy that this fight's gonna generate so much money for the fighters, for the company. I'm not sure if Tyson Fury is still involved with his promoter, but if he is, then both promoters are gonna make huge money. Eddie Hearn definitely wants that fight. Definitely was hoping that Tyson Fury announced that comeback sooner than later, because that's the fight that needs to happen. It's a fight that, even though both fighters are coming off a loss, the world wants to see.
So tell me about it tactically, because I've heard from more than one person that a prime Muhammad Ali pre-suspension dances around Frazier. He said Frazier doesn't land. I had a coach tell me this. He goes, Frazier doesn't land a punch on Ali in his prime. The fact that they fought a little bit later, Ali was post-suspension, had slowed down a little bit, made that fight more entertaining than it would have been if they had fought in their prime. Is there a little bit of that Tyson Fury may slow down a little bit and be a little more hittable? He was very hard to hit in his absolute prime. That letting it wait a little longer might give us a better fight. What's your thought on it, Robert?
I believe it's 100% true. Tyson Fury, good boxer, good jab, good in and out footwork, but no, I don't think he'll be able to do it like he was doing it a few years back. I think makes it a better fight because Anthony Joshua does have that power, does have those hard, straight punches that 1-2 jab 1-2. It makes it very interesting. I think the fight is gonna to me. I don't know. It's a pick 'em fight because both are in a position where they're both okay, looking towards the end of the career. But it's a perfect match for them at this time. I think they're both gonna bring in a great fight.
So, Chris, I got to ask you, is this a pick'em fight in their prime? Robert just said right now, if it happens, Coach Robert knows boxing inside and out. It's a pick'em fight right now. Is it pick'em in their prime, or do you go with Tyson Fury?
So, if we're going to discuss their primes, and they're going to fight each other, it's basically a thought experiment because the primes are different times.
Yes.
So they were never prime at the same time.
Yeah.
So when
this is if the man had balls, should be my uncle argument.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
So
I just want to, before you go forward, I just want to make it clear. I think Frazier gives Ali a tough fight.
I was going to say that. I was actually going to say
Yeah,
that.
not everyone shares that opinion.
I didn't agree with that.
Yeah, not everyone shares that opinion, but I've heard that as well. Yeah. We both have.
So
We all
if
have.
you think about Joshua's prime, he was, destructive. He was mean. He was a stalker.
I
He was
worked
a
a
KO
lot of
puncher.
those early Joshua fights. He was a
You crack him, and he'd come right back and try and hurt you immediately. And he would take control of the fight, and he would, and he'd get you out of there. That guy that fought Klitschko, that fight was one of the best heavyweight fights I've ever seen in my life. Because I rate Klitschko very high, as everyone does. And Joshua, to get up off the canvas and do what he did, to nearly knock his head off with an uppercut. That guy was something different. And then you look at Tyson Fury, whose prime was actually only a couple years ago, if you think about it, when he was at his best in terms of his destructiveness.
You do have to keep in mind, Fury had already dominated Klitschko by the time Joshua beat Klitschko.
Sure. But in different ways, right? Because that I don't look at that as his prime, because that version
wasn't a great fight.
Nah, it was weird. It was a weird fight. Yeah. He used a lot of ugly tactics with grabbing and moving, and Klitschko always had a problem with guys who were his height and his size. So that was a bad style matchup for Klitschko. But if they were, neither one of them are in their prime now. They're both, I hate to say it, over the hill, but they're over their prime. They're past their prime. So this makes this a much better fight. I think this is actually more of a pick-em fight, just like Coach Robert said. Because listen, Tyson Fury's chin is not what it used to be. His timing is not what it used to be. Guess what? Joshua can still punch. That never goes away.
But Joshua's chin and timing also isn't quite what he was either,
yeah.
Right?
So, but at one point, both these guys had really good chins. I think at one point, Joshua probably had a better chin than Tyson. Tyson used to go down a lot, or he'd always get up, obviously. But now it's like, I don't know who's chinnier at this point. But the better puncher is definitely Joshua.
Well, I'll say this. At heavyweight, you always talk about it. It's really hard to have a good chin at heavyweight because the guys are so big. I can remember.
But it doesn't get better as it goes.
It definitely gets worse. That's for all fighters because, you get dented up, right? But I can remember Steve Cunningham dropping Fury. It's an ex-cruiserweight. I can also remember being at the O2 Arena because I'd fought on that card with Dillian White, had Joshua out on his feet in that fight as well. And that was during Joshua's murderous run when he was running through guys out.
Really punch.
Of course.
He can really
What I'm
punch.
saying is, even in their youth, if you hit them on the chin, these guys were still susceptible.
Right.
It's just heavyweights. It's just, there's not a lot of Ray Mercers in the world.
I don't
division.
like to compare those two examples that you use, because with Cunningham fighting a smaller guy, a cruiserweight, who wasn't a puncher, a cruiserweight, definitely not a puncher at heavyweight. 50, 60-pound weight difference.
He just threw a haymaker.
Moving backwards, it gets clipped and boom, goes down.
He threw a one-hitter quick.
Joshua White, they had bad blood.
Yeah.
Joshua was going for the kill. You put yourself in a more dangerous situation like that, and White can really punch, and he's a heavyweight. So comparing those two is a little bit apples and oranges, but I see where you're coming from in terms of where these guys are at. I don't know. I want to see it. Robert, I think you do too. It seems like I think it's a good fight.
Yeah.
A great fight. I think it's a fight that had to happen.
Yeah.
Hearing all the retirements and this and that, I always say, no, that's the fight that needs to happen. The world, they owe it to the world because it is a fight that brings interest. Even though right now Joshua got knocked out and Fury didn't look too good, but between them against each other, I think they're both gonna give us a great fight.
And tens of millions of pounds, British pounds. This would sell out Wembley.
It's $1 billion fight.
It's a
$1 billion fight.
$1 billion fight, maybe, which is a lot more.
Yep.
When you look at it that way, this idea that it's such a moneymaker, this would be one of the all-time boneheaded misses in boxing history if this fight didn't happen. But Paulie, yesterday we were discussing Deontay Wilder, his comeback, assuming he wins that, which he should. Is there this idea that Deontay Wilder could go, okay, I'll step in. All right, as a little bit of leverage here.
Well, I'll tell you what. boxing has a bad habit lately of creating this Hollywood lane where these older champions who are more known than the up and coming guys fighting each other only, and they just stay in their lane and they don't let anybody else in.
Legends division almost.
Yeah, and so you don't let anybody else develop their star power on the way up, which is essential for continuing the sport. I say that and I complain about it because it really has always been what has developed the new generation star, and so the clock, the wheel can keep turning. I say that also because I want to say that these guys are not like that. Okay, Joshua fought Dubois. Fury fought Usyk. Wilder went and fought Parker. He went and fought Zhilei Zhang, who was, of course, is older, but they're still players in the heavyweight division.
Still the way up.
So, I don't mind these guys actually doing this because they haven't been like, we're going to take our ball and play over here and nobody else is allowed to play.
They pay back to the sport.
Yeah, exactly. So if this is what these guys want to do, obviously, for me, they're legendary regardless. I know there's opinions. What I've been in this stadium. I've been in the arena for Wilder fights, Fury fights, AJ fights. What they've done for the sport is it's hard to even describe into words. Regardless of your opinion of them as fighters, you need these kind of people in the sport because they feed the lifeblood into the sport. So, not wanting to see them get hurt aside, because you always want that. If they are grown men and they're deciding to do this, they've also given back to the sport. They fought these other guys as well. They didn't take their ball and play over here and nobody else can come play. They didn't do the Hollywood thing. So you know what? If they do it, I'm supporting it.
Another thing, Chris, when you look at it, there's always that. When you look at a fighter's career, but he never fought so-and-so. You can't really say that about either one of these heavyweights except each other. You know what I mean? Like, there's not like, as Paulie said, there wasn't an up-and-comer that both guys ducked. Like, hey, how can we fight each other and not this guy? They kind of let other guys into the room, as you put it, Paulie.
Yeah.
But this ain't...
Other guys, and Jimmy, I don't want to cut you off.
No, please.
But I am cutting you off, sorry.
You're the expert, bro.
But what I want to reiterate this because you got groupies that come and misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm not talking about letting the guy in the room who has no hope of beating you anyway. That's not giving an opportunity to the sport. I'm talking about the guy who you put yourself at risk against when he comes into the room and you didn't have to do that.
The Dubois.
And that guy, the Dubois of the world and everything else.
Yeah.
Not Canelo fighting Berlanga. Not that. Okay. Canelo avoiding Benavidez is what I'm talking about.
Right.
Okay. So these guys,
a potential star in Benavidez. Yeah.
Put themselves in against that kind of risk. And don't, instead of masquerading it as, I'll give this young guy a chance because he sucks anyway, or he's lower level, and so he's not going to beat me anyway, and I'll make it look like I'm giving back to the sport. Not all of us are suckers. We realize what we're saying.
I'm going to push back because that's what I'm here for.
Go ahead.
You're
what else is new? What else is new?
You got a dark shirt. I got a white shirt. We got
you did black hat, white hat. You know how it is.
That was not planned, by the way.
Right.
So, okay, so you're saying these guys, they've given back. It's okay with them doing this. But they can't beat the guy at the top, and they're not even going to try anymore.
Yeah, but I'm saying
they both got
but they
washed
know
by
this.
the top guy. That's what I mean.
But they know this.
You can't just be like, they're doing good for the sport. They're altruistic.
No,
it's like, well,
no,
they
it's
know
not.
they can't
No,
compete
the
anymore.
altruistic part is you're misconstruing what I'm saying, champ. Because the altruistic part is fighting the guys that they put themselves at risk against. Now them doing this is like, okay. Go ahead, you do it. I'll support it.
But if they had
doing this is not giving back to the sport. We get it.
If they had a shot to beat the guy at the top, I bet you they'd try me in the middle of the
Of course, but what I'm saying is this is, I'm not, when I say give back to the sport, I'm not saying this fight.
I know.
They're giving back to themselves.
I know what you're saying, but like, you got to understand where they're at too.
By doing this, they're giving back to themselves, truthfully. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Which you're okay with, I'm okay with.
I'm okay with because they give them back to the sport. They didn't try to skip any.
So you're saying they earned where they're at now because they've already done.
Now you've earned where you're at. There's no titles anyway because you're not keeping titles hostage.
Have the fun fight.
Well, at the end of the last 2 years, it's been a fight for second anyway because none of these.
Yeah, of course, but at least it's known because they're not keeping titles hostage. Yeah. They went and put their titles because they put their titles on the line against the best, and the best beat them. That's what they do. They're not doing the Gervonta Davis routine. They're not doing the Canelo Alvarez routine. Hold titles hostages. They're not doing that. When there's mass murders around them that will eliminate them.
When Usyk started collecting these titles, did people really think that he was going to beat everybody? No.
Doesn't matter.
They gave him a shot.
Still got it, though.
But it was like, you're looking at it like, all right, this is crazy. Joshua's fighting a cruiserweight. And then the cruiserweight wins. It was a great fight.
But
and then he wins it again. And then he fights Tyson Fury. He beats him. Then it's like,
yeah,
now,
but there's always that lingering effect with Eastern Europeans. You know they're going to be dangerous because you know they're going to fight. You know, even Makhmadov and Crawford. You know, like it ended up being a tough fight. You know what I mean?
Madrimov, yeah.
One of those guys. My apologies, Madrimov. You know, it's like they ended up being a tough fight anyway. You know what I'm saying? So you know those guys, they're going to show up to fight.
Yeah, but if we could go back in time to when they were making the Joshua Usyk fight, I mean, I think
Joshua would have fought him. Look, Joshua fought Dubois.
No, I think a lot of people were like, all right, I mean, Joshua's fighting a cruiserweight. They're thinking Joshua's going to win this
But even if it was a risk, Joshua would have fought him because that's the DNA that he has. You see, because he went and fought Dubois afterwards. He didn't say...
No, there's no question Joshua's false.
There's nothing in him that's going to... That makes you think, okay, you know, he would have played the Canelo route. He would have played the Gervonta Davis route. I've never seen him try that. I've never seen any of these guys try that. Fury, Wilder... and AJ. I've never seen any of them do that, which is why I don't mind. If they're going to do this, okay. Yeah, I wasn't always for this, but I say, you know what? They've done a lot, man. Let them have at it.
Let them have fun.
Jimmy, you made me think about something because you mentioned Deontay Wilder, who we talked about yesterday, who could be very much in the mix with these guys now because they are kind of like the old guard, still doing it, still got it, still fun to watch. What if Eddie Hearn goes to Wilder and tries to get that fight in between and just use it as a bargaining chip? Like, hey, we'll make Wilder Joshua. I think a fight sells. I think a fight sells. I want to see it.
Well, he may do the tease back to Fury.
That's what I mean.
Right?
That would be
if you don't pull the trigger.
That would be the counter tease to get what he really wants.
I'm gonna go just a tip. I'll get the whole thing right here.
No, that's
pause.
I'll get the half.
That's like when you're getting a side girl now. You're like, oh no, but now
I'll go out with her then.
I got a different girl. I'll go with this girl.
Right? We know where Chris's head is at.
Some really risque.
So, but since we brought it up, Robert, as a coach, I have to ask you: Usyk universally at the top. We're talking about, as Chris said, kind of this old guard that's been there before, having some fun fights, but Usyk at the top, undeniably. Of course, Dubois fight coming up. What's left for him after that? Do you see him continuing his career? He's beaten everybody.
Usyk is the best in the division. He's beating everybody. He's close to maybe retiring. There's nobody else for him to fight. The other ones, Fury, Joshua, and Wilder, they need to fight, especially Joshua. There's 2 fights for Joshua before he retires.
Yep.
And no matter what, he got knocked out. He's not maybe everybody's thinking he should retire. There's 2 fights that he needs to have, and that's the Wilder fight and the Tyson Fury fight. With Usyk is the best in the division. He's pound for pound the best fighter in the world right now. He could retire now, and everybody's gonna applaud him. With these other guys, they still need to fight each other. There's still some fights that I need to see from Anthony Joshua.
How good must it feel, Paul? I got to ask you, both you guys retired pros, to go, well, I'm kind of at the end. I only have 2 $100 million fights left in me. How good must that feel?
It feels great, but you know why it's going to feel great? I'll tell you who gets the big thank you here is the UK market, the UK fans.
So good.
Dude, they are the lifeblood of the entire sport. The centerpiece.
Them and the Mexicans.
But you can't put monster promotions in Mexico. You don't see
it won't make the money.
There is monster promotions.
You do it in Vegas. That's the only reason we have big fights in the States is because of the Mexican audience.
Yeah. Okay. Point made. But the atmosphere is still what it is. You're still getting that atmosphere. And honestly, you still need top level fights in Vegas to be able to do that. Yeah. They just made Ben and Eubank in a stadium in England. Those guys wouldn't sell the hotel ballroom here if they weren't. If
and it crushed, Paulie. It crushed.
If you have not had championship aspirations or been a world champion or on the way to a world championship and being marketed, there's no way you're going to sell anywhere near that.
They love their guys in the UK.
The fan base is insane. And that's the lifeblood of the sport. So you also have, it's because of that too. You have AJ and Fury. It's like this generation, I don't know why these things get put off. You know who also did it? Conor and Brooke. Conor Brooke did it they did it 70 years too late. Yep. And they still sold the hell out of it. Yep. Still sold the hell out of it. But because everybody, even in the UK, right now they're still accepting the tease. Because you know why? Because they had the 90s prime fights. They had Ben Eubank in their prime. They had all those rivalries in their prime. So they'll accept it. Okay, you make us wait, but as long as we get it. But you got to stop playing around. Better give these guys, these fans, their fights in their prime. Because eventually they're going to get tired of it too. But right now, I think AJ and Fury, they'll still do it. Because like I said, you ended up having, this basically amounts to a bigger version of Khan versus Brook. Khan versus Brook was the two UK stars.
Yeah, bad blood, long standing.
Rivalry, championship
fight
fighters.
that had to happen.
Fight that had to happen and never did. So even if they were past their prime, it ended up selling very well when it did happen.
Yeah.
But you'd like to see these things in their prime. You know what it is with the UK fighters too? They're starting to realize, like, I can always put this one off. I can always do everything else. This will always be here.
Evergreen money.
It's like, in some ways, it takes advantage of the fan base there, but the fans still appreciate it. They still love it. Like I said, Eubank Jr. and Ben and Conor Ben, they weren't going to be champions anyway. So they said, you know what, let's just do it. Let's just
Yeah, but
fight.
look how hard that fight was to make. It took years.
Yeah. Well, there's also failed drug tests and all
I mean,
that
that
other
doesn't
stuff, too.
help.
And it also paid off in the end.
But
UK
also
fans got what they
they're
wanted.
entertained because the guys put on. They said, okay, you know what? Regardless of anything, this represents something. We gotta put on
because there was
it means
pride.
something.
There was pride
They
on
didn't
the
do
line.
the Times Square New York thing where they just, you know what, pay me so much money. Let me just tap dance in here and let me so I can go enjoy my money that they're gonna pay me.
Yeah,
tonight.
but they were manufactured matchups too, though. That's
Yeah,
the thing.
bro.
You gotta have real
Well,
like that.
Ben and
like
Eubank is manufactured based off the father's
was
rivalry,
manufactured in
but
their
they
DNA.
still put
It
on
was in
because
their DNA.
yeah, exactly. They put on because they felt you got to feel something
They grew
inside
up
you,
with
man.
it.
If you don't feel it inside you when you're fighting, if you don't feel that something inside you going into the fight, bro, you shouldn't be fighting. You're stealing money then. You're taking advantage of people's time and money. You gotta have that feeling, that adrenaline, this means something feeling. That's why Ben and Eubank made it happen. If AJ and Fury still have that, and it's not just money, this thing's gonna entertain.
Got to feel more than the tip, right?
Oh.
That's exactly what we're talking about today.
You know what? It was a word at the end, right?
In our Not Safe for Work episode here on Boxing Scene Today, from behind the scenes for the champs, of course, the coach, Robert Garcia. I'm Jimmy Smith. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Find out why millions are watching.
I won't call.